So here we are back at the grapevines. We're having an extremely hot summer. The grapevines are getting a little too much sun, so I had bought some netting to keep the birds out. So the plan is today is to mill up some poles and put the netting on to not only keep the birds out, but the netting will also provide about 40 to 50% UV blockage. So we'll block out about 50% of the sun if we can go ahead and get this netting on. So I think that'll help the grapevines a little bit and get them rejuvenated, and hopefully we won't have these 100-degree days much longer, but they are predicting a whole week next week of 100-degree days. So we're going to try to get this netting on and see if we can help out our grapevines some. Alright, so here we are at the sawmill to mill up our poles for the netting. I did want to talk about my mill a little bit. I had originally put the rails just directly on the ground, and that worked pretty well, but you get a lot of sawdust covering your rails, and you have to constantly keep your sawdust cleaned up, and you have a little less room to work and clamp. So I went ahead and put this rails on some deck post blocks. These concrete blocks help distribute the weight out, and they also give you a little bit of elevation so you can deal with more sawdust. So it also keeps it a little more level through the changing seasons, so I don't have to level up the rails as much. I did have to modify the blocks a little bit. Just used a angle grinder and a masonry blade, but I did have to knock the corners off so that the feet for my leveling feet for the sawmill would fit in the concrete block. But it just took a few minutes anyway, and it seems to be working out well. So just a little trick if you have a sawmill and you're dealing with the same problems I had, put them up on some concrete blocks. Alright, so we got this cedar log here we're going to mill up for our poles. My netting's 13 by 33. I mean, I don't know how the Chinese came up with 13 feet, but we'll cut our poles 13 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this log a bit. So we got 12, and we got 13 feet past this last rail. So we'll trim this off, get her clamped up, and we'll start milling. Alright, so every log's got a little taper to it. I could make a cut, a level cut where the log could be on 3 of my supports, and that would kind of level it out, but I just keep a couple of boards here so I can kind of set up for my taper, and you get a little experience. You can see, look at your taper of your log, and then you can just prop it up. Here I use a 2x4. If I didn't have much taper, I'd just use this 1x4. So anyway, that'll allow us to make our first cut, and then we'll take that off when we flip the board over, or the log over, and then make our other cut. I'm trying to do mill a 2x2 post, so I'm gonna go ahead and square up a 6 1/4 log. I think we can get a 6 1/4 out of this, and then that'll allow me 2 cuts, and so hopefully I can make a 3x3 or 9 or 9 2x2s. If not, I have to go down to a 4 1/8 square, then only get 4. Alright, so now that we've got our poles cut to length, we're going to cut the ends off. And so I went out and measured my posts for my trellis, and they're 6.5 feet tall. So anytime you're going to do a building project, you're going to need to know a little bit of trigonometry. So thanks to my 8th grade math teacher, Miss Gadberry, she told me that always remember the Indian chief Sokotoa. Sokotoa is all you need to know for your trigonometry. So that means the sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine means adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. So once you know these formulas, you can calculate your angle for your right triangle. So since my opposite side is 6.5 feet, and my hypotenuse is 13 feet, the sine of my angle is 0.5. So the inverse sine of 0.5 is actually 30 degrees. So now that we know we have a 30-60 degree right triangle, we can cut our angles for our posts. Okay, so here's the netting we removed. As you can see, pretty thin, pretty cheap. Just wasn't working out. So hopefully these sunshades will make a huge difference. Alright, so we have our sunshades installed, and we only have a couple of weeks of hot weather left, so obviously this is just a temporary solution, but hopefully it'll protect the grapes from the sun and we'll have a good harvest this year.
Alright guys, if you like what we did here today, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.